Hi, Joel. I just wondered, how do you feel the line's coming together, especially with it's possible you're going to have two rookies in there to start at least for the early in the season. Do you feel like you've made strides lately?
Yeah, I think every day we're getting a little bit better. There's things to work on. I think every day you find something new that you want to improve on and work on, and that's just the whole season really. As you're working with O-line, but with two young guys that didn't get the OTAs in off season, every day you're just trying to find something to get better with. We talked to Jed about one or two things each day to work on, to focus on, to really try and improve, so it becomes more of a habit. But we're getting there. Coach Callahan, Coach Peters, they're putting us in good positions to be successful. And now we're just continue to try and work the technique and get as many reps as we can before that first week.
Is there something you see from maybe one thing from Jed and one thing from Nick that is like maybe most encouraging, like how areas that they've, really catching on?
Yeah, from Nick's perspective, he's playing center, so there's a lot on his play calling. Making calls and things of that nature. He's done a really good job of picking that up. And he's an athletic guy. Like he can move and he's quick and he gets to his position really well. So those are things that are really big positive signs. And then Jed kind of in the same boat. He's really picked up the offense well. Like you don't see very many mental errors and things of that nature, which are encouraging for a rookie that's just going through his first training camp ever and his real first, practices ever. And then just his daily improvement. I know he's going against guys like OV and Miles and guys that have, been to Pro Bowls and all pros in this league, and he's competing with those guys. It's not pretty all the time, but every day he's fighting and getting better. And not every block in the NFL is pretty. He might have to win sloppy sometimes, and he's learning that's okay. When you're at Alabama and you're playing teams, sometimes you just win every block, and that doesn't happen all the time in the NFL. You learn from those mistakes, and you keep improving, and you've seen that fight with him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Our next question will come from Mary Kay Cavett.
Hey, Joel, I missed the first question, so I hope I'm not really overly repeating myself here. But in terms of Jed, with you being right next to him, what kinds of things are you doing to kind of help him, just even from a technique standpoint, a timing and spacing standpoint, but also perhaps maybe trying to help him keep his head up and not get down and those kinds of things?
Yeah, it starts with communication from the huddle. Make sure we know where we're working to and who we're going to and the nuances of each play, because each play there's something different that, you have to worry about. But just from that point and then communicating. And then just once the play's over with, you realize like what happened, what went right, what went wrong, and kind of learning from those situations. Joe Thomas told me my rookie year, like what's the worst thing, what can this defensive player do to you, that's going to make this play not work for us? And, you kind of put that in your mindset and you try and eliminate that right away and then kind of go from there. Just little tidbits like that, and just helping him try and focus on each and every play and understanding like this league, like you have to play the next play. Like if there's a penalty, if there's a sack, if there's something that goes wrong, like there's another play that's coming right up and you can't get down on yourself. And I think he's understanding that, like, I'm not going to bat 100 for 100, but, we want to try and get to as close to that number as possible and just play as hard as we can and focus on the next play each and every time we get back in the huddle.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mary Kay. We'll go to Tony Grossi next.
Hey, Joel, you've been around the block enough times now to answer this, but with 12 days to go on a global level, the whole team, do you feel you're on course to be in the best possible prep for the season opener, or do you have to really make up ground, particularly this week?
I feel like we're in a good spot. I think it took a while to get going with the ramp up periods. You don't get as much contact and stuff, but the last couple of weeks, we've been going pretty steadily. And, you put your whole playbook in on offense and defense, and now you're starting to shrink it up and kind of go to the plays that have been working and the plays that you're going to want to run against Baltimore. And I think we're in a good spot. It's going to take a good week of practice regardless. We want to come out here and get better this week. We have a 4-day block here, and then we really get into game week. But we're excited where we're at. I think we saw some good things in the scrimmage on Sunday, I believe that was, and we're moving in the right direction. There's a lot of positives out there, and that, you're only good as your last day. So we're going to come out there today and try and have our best practice yet and just keep building on those things.
Could you give us an idea of J.C. Tretter's psyche right now? Is he bummed? Is he pumped up? Is he getting close? Is he on top of everything?
Medically, I'm not sure. I don't know how all that's working. Him and the training staff and Coach Stefanski probably have a better answer for you on that. But I know mentally he's been in every meeting. He's, watching practice on his iPad, and he's getting focused and ready to roll. I know mentally he's going to be ready to play, if he's ready to go physically. Like, that's not going to be an option. He's always been a smart guy, and he knows where we're at, play by play and issue by issue. And I still talk to him in the meeting and make sure, I'm like, hey, this is what we're seeing out there. Like, what would you call in these situations and those type of situations? So it's definitely different, but if anybody can do it, I mean, he's done it the last few years where he hasn't practiced with high ankle sprains and things of that nature. And he's come into the games and he's been really mentally sharp. And so that's something that we're not worried about, and I know he's been pushing himself. He's there every day, just trying to get back and be ready for week 1.
Dan Lobby, you're up.
Hey, Joel, kind of along those lines, if Nick Harris is the guy out there week 1, is there a little more responsibility on you to kind of help him out with some of the calls he has to make and some things he has to point out?
Yeah, I think he'll be in a good position. I think Coach has done a good job of getting him ready. But, when we're out there, the 5 guys got to figure out who we're blocking. And if that takes me making a call or Jack making a call or Wyatt or even Jed, we're going to figure out who we're going to and try and all be on the same page. Being a guy who's been in this, system a little bit and kind of understands, like, hey, this is the nuances of it. Of course, I'll be ready to help him and make a call if we need to. But I think he's on track to be ready mentally. He's made some good things, and I'm sure Baltimore will have something for us that we haven't seen that we'll have to adjust to on the sideline. But we're getting there, and we got 2 weeks now to really ramp it up mentally for Baltimore. But yeah, I'll be ready to take that step if it's needed.
Thanks.
Scott Petrick.
Hey, Joel. Kevin Stefanski has been hit with a bunch of stuff that a lot of first-year coaches don't get, right? COVID, a lot of the social justice stuff, no off-season program. How do you think he's dealt with all that?
Yeah, he's been great. He's always come into it with a game plan, and from day one, he understood this season was going to be different. From COVID perspective, like you talked about, from social justice perspective, he's been on top of his game and he's kept his focus. I mean, just not having team meetings together where it's like we're on Zoom calls and stuff like that. All those things are different than normal. We're doing so much more virtual stuff that he's been really ready, and he's really stressed to us. We got to hit the curveball this year. What are they going to send at us? Whoever deals with these circumstances better is going to have a leg up on the competition. And his organization, his focus on those issues has been top notch.
You've been around a lot of other coaches. Like, do you think, kind of compare how he's handled it, how other coaches, whether you've had him or around the league, might be handling all this stuff differently?
Yeah, it's one of those things that this is kind of like a first time in a lifetime type of situation for, I think, most NFL teams. So it's hard to tell how other franchises have handled it. But I just know we're getting our work in and we're focused as a unit. And that's really all we can ask. We don't know what's exactly happening across the league, but Coach Stefanski's had a plan and he's putting in place, and we're making our way towards that goal.
Tom Weathers is next.
Hey, Joel, good to see you. Hey, injuries are always a problem, and you guys have had some rotten luck already. Was there more of a concern, Joel, coming into camp about the possibility of injuries just because of how strange this offseason was in terms of training and things like that?
Yeah, I think that's why we were trying to stress, I think JC did a good job with the NFLPA of having that ramp-up period. Because no matter how hard you train, like you can train in the weight room and running and things like that until you're really like physically battling with somebody, you don't realize how much toll that is on your body. And like you said, a lot of our things have been really unlucky injuries, with Achilles and stuff like that, where it's kind of freak accidents, where I don't know if that would have been, if we had OTAs or something, I don't know if that's changing those scenarios. But, you wanted to have enough ramp up period to guys get their bodies kind of used to pushing and pulling on each other, because you never know how you're going to feel when you're blocking a 300-pound guy or 2 300-pound guys are tackling you. And in these situations where guys are getting rolled up on, it's the soft tissue injuries and those things that you're trying to prevent, with the ramp-up period and stuff. But some of those football injuries just happen, and it's unfortunate part of the business. Hopefully we get as healthy as possible going into week 1, and we have, most of our key guys.
Thanks. One more quick one. I know he's not in your position group, but Harrison Bryant, we voted as the top rookie in camp. I was just wondering if he stood out to you in any way.
Yeah, he's a mature guy. He's focused. He hasn't talked much, which is good for a rookie. But he comes in and he handles his business. And from my perspective, every time the ball comes his way, he's making a play on it, and he pops right up when he gets hit, and he he's just doing all the right things you want to see in a rookie. And, you know, he's a little smaller than some of the other tight ends, but he goes in there and he just tries to fight. And that's all you can really ask for, those tight ends. I mean, they're not used to blocking, 280-pound defensive ends, and he comes out there and he attacks them, and he's he wants to be a part of it. And that's really all you can ask for from a rookie, and he's focused, and he doesn't really make those mental mistakes. But, from what I can see from the receiving aspect, every day he's coming down with a sweet catch or a nice touchdown, and those are all exciting things.
Go to Mary Kay and then Nate, and we'll be done.
Hey, Joel, what impact has it had on you guys as an offensive line that you haven't had Miles out there this whole, for the whole camp? He missed the first 5 days, then he was out of the scrimmage the other night. Does that hurt you guys a little bit from getting ready for the season standpoint, maybe even all across the line?
Yeah, he's a great player. He's one of the top rushers in this league. And anytime you get to battle him, you're going to learn things. But we have other good rushers on our team. Like, it's not like, you're just getting ready for Myles Garrett every week. He's a great player, and it's good to get those looks and good to feel that speed, because he has more speed than, most edge rushers you're going to face. But he's been out there, he was banged up early start of practice, but a lot of those were, kind of walk-through days, or we weren't going against the defense. He's got his looks in. I know he's going to be ready to roll the next couple weeks, and we're going to get plenty of looks against him. Anytime you can go against a great player, it's good to battle that. But I think our coaches have done a good job putting us in positions, moving OB around. We have other guys. Sheldon Richardson's a Pro Bowl. We have guys that can rush the quarterback that we've had to block, and I think we're going to be prepared.
Thank you.
And last one, Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Joel, heading into camp, I think we were all wondering what was going to happen at right guard. And we haven't talked about it much at all because it's just been Wyatt Teller in there. So I was wondering, what's your take on how he did in camp, and what's your confidence level in him at that spot?
Yeah, I know Wyatt worked his butt off this offseason. He was he was truly focused. He wanted to help transform his body a little bit and just be ready to play. He's had some of his chances his first 2 years in the league. He's been on a couple different teams, but he understood this right guard spot was going to be a competition, and he wanted to work for it. And he's done everything he's really needed to. He's come out there, he's competed every day, he's worked hard, and he's continuing to get better like the rest of us. Every day we're picking one or two things that we want to work on, and he's been part of that. But it's been good. He has some experience. He's probably started maybe 15, 16 games in his career. And when you have a guy like Nick next to you, all that experience helps. And him and Jack working together, they've had a pretty good bond this camp. So I think he's, done a great job of really putting himself in position to be successful this year. And I know he's really put in the work, especially this offseason training camp, to try and give himself the best chance.